Well, hello and welcome to Homestead Happenings. I'm sure you guys are wondering what's going on with the new driving job. Everything is perfectly fine, guys. Just a quick update. I went in the end of last week, did orientation, paperwork, physical, urinalysis, and we thought we were going to start right away after that, but the lab that does the urinalysis is taking too long. But as of today, I got an email, everything's all set, lab results are in, I'm good to go. So a couple days I head back out on the road. But seeing how I had all this time to be here at the homestead, I tried to get a whole bunch of other stuff done. And obviously, guys, main priority this time of year for pretty much us and every homesteader I know is garden work. Garden work, because you only get a certain amount of season to get the most fruits and vegetables you can get out of it done. So if you saw before, I mulched in my beans, and right over here, guys, we planted some more beans. So I'm gonna have to mulch those in, but they are all doing really good. Look at all the, can you see those flowers? They are doing fantastic. And then here's our okra, guys. Oh, let me get over in here. This stuff is doing amazing. Look at the beautiful flowers that the okra is producing. So, a lot of pollination, and we have okras. You can see them. They're coming in. We're getting them going. And I planted 2 more rows of okra down that way. So, we'll have even more for the later part of the season. Tomatoes are doing all right. Oh, I got one here. That one's gonna have to get trellised up. They're doing all right, guys, but I'll tell you, we're having a problem with our tomatoes. If you can see them, they're not getting red, and it's a chemical called florazine. Go ahead and look that up. I don't know, words are hard. In it, and that's what makes them turn red. But we have found out that if there's too much heat, not necessarily sunlight, but heat, the tomatoes don't change. They don't change their color as quick. So I'm not really sure how we're gonna remedy that, but if you look, guys, cherry tomatoes, look at all the flowers we have on our cherry tomatoes. And we have cherry tomatoes coming in. They're doing fantastic. They're doing really good. See, here's a tomato that's starting to change. So, whoa, sorry, I'm bouncing you guys all over the place. So, they are changing, it's just very slow. So, I guess tomatoes will be the late part of the season, but Missy said that everybody at the farmers markets, they're all seem to be going through the same problem. So, I don't know. We haven't been down here in Arkansas long enough to know if this hot spring that we had is really a normal thing. But I'm assuming that it is not, just because everybody's saying the same thing. They're having trouble with their tomatoes. So, tomatoes, work in progress. Peppers are doing fantastic, guys. We got the new peppers right here. They're coming up. They're doing fine. Cucumbers. Cucumbers are not loving all the heat, but we do have fresh new cucumbers coming up right there, and we've got some on the other side, and we're going to plant a few more in here and in here so that we have cucumbers farther into the season. These ones are producing. They did take quite a hit from the cucumber beetles, but they're doing okay. They're producing cucumbers, and what we have found is when our production on cucumbers is low, and last year it was very high, we were swimming in cucumbers, that it's actually better for us to harvest these cucumbers and pickle them and make pickles and make relish, because for that same amount of cucumbers, we get much more revenue by canning it. It's a little bit more work, but when you're trying to make a living off your garden, you do what you got to do. So that's what we're doing with them for right now until things change. Guys, you remember I told you I planted 2 rows of okra? Look at them. Look at them. They're doing fantastic. 2 full rows. This one and this one are all new okra. And they will be producing. They'll be producing in about 5 weeks. They'll grow up and they'll start producing. And then here, this is our 3rd attempt at squash and zucchini in this row and this row right here. Hopefully this time around it'll be okay. I haven't seen any squash bugs so far, but keep your fingers crossed, guys. I don't know exactly what's going on. Actually, the whole garden this year is not producing as well as it did this time last year. And I don't know why, because according to our soil report, our soil's in the best shape it's ever been. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know what's going on. But I guess that's gardening really for you. I'll show you here. You see this? Hang on. You can see right there. Yeah, I gave it a yank yesterday. I seized that motor right up. So if you saw in the previous video, me trying to get some tilling done, or maybe, no, that's coming out in a newer video. Editing's hard too. That's coming out in a new video. That'll be out next week. I started tilling this and prepping it to put in some fall crops. We were going to put in butternut squash, acorn squash, and pumpkins, and get those in from seed, so come, you know, October, they were ready to harvest. And it was pretty hot out here, but I was working this tiller. I was working this tiller pretty hard, and as you can see, yeah, guys, that thing is seized up solid. So we're out of a tiller for now, but we still needed to get these rows planted. So what I did was I came in, you can see this is the last little bit that was, here's where I stopped tilling. And what I did is I came in and I used a weed burner and I burned out all the leaves and weeds and all of that stuff, whoa, slipping around, in all the remainders of the rows. Now, we till because it's quicker than that, but this soil right here is still pretty soft, and obviously this stuff is very soft. You can see, no problem. So we shouldn't have an issue with drainage or getting seeds in here. I know you guys will look at this and go, oh, that is awfully bumpy. It's not very smooth. It's okay. What we'll do is we have a little hand cultivator, little stand-up one. Where we plant the seed, we'll scratch that down a little bit. And the rest of it, I'm not really concerned about because especially that butternut squash, that grows into such a big plant. It is gonna overtake this whole thing. And no weeds should come up. And they'll be planted so far apart that those little bumps and ridges for this part of the season will not really matter. So that's kind of the plan there. Doesn't look pretty, but it certainly should function just fine. And actually, guys, this burning these weeds out like this, it actually is more work and more time consuming, but it works better for getting the weeds down and suppressing the weeds, because when I use the weed burner, it burns all those seeds that are on the top, the grass that has come up and gone to seed. It burns them, it cooks them, and it won't cook them an inch down, probably even a half inch down, but anything that's on the surface will not go to seed and come back. And then the roots and stuff of the plants that are here, because they were burnt, they are so shocked and so devastated that it will be 6 weeks before I start seeing green from those actual roots coming up. So if not more. So I'm pretty happy about all that. So we're gonna try and get this and this planted tomorrow morning before it gets too hot, because oh my goodness, guys, whew, it's been hot here in the Ozarks of Arkansas. I'm not gonna lie. It's been really hot. We have been pretty much in the 90s for at least a week, and in the 90s for at least another week, according to the forecast. Actually, I'm kind of surprised my grass is still green. But we did get 3-4 inches of rain last week, so that helps. And you are gonna see, or you just saw, because I just got done editing it, Missy started doing her raised beds. So she got this one filled up, and she's got strawberries in it. And we started throwing wood in this one, and we're gonna fill the bottom up with the wood, and then we're gonna put a layer of wood chips in, and then the soil goes on top. And we're gonna do the same thing for all 3 of them. But yeah, raised beds are starting to come together. They're starting to take shape. The strawberries, they're not loving the heat, but they're doing fine, and they will come back. They will come back next year. As long as the root system is established, they'll be just fine. So, baby bunnies are gone. I don't know if you guys saw in a previous video, Missy found wild baby bunnies in her thyme bucket. So we've been following their progress, watching what they're doing, and I think 2 days ago she checked on them and they were gone, and they haven't been back since. So they have moved on. Time to go out and make their own baby bunnies. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's what's going on here on the homestead. Finally got a system to cover the tractor. I need to get back on the sawmill, guys. But that's going to be held off for a little while longer until I get a routine going at this new place. And then I will start doing that again. But let me take you down here to the house because, oh, excuse me, that was very rude. Take you guys down to the house because I've got a project today that I've got to do, and I'm probably not going to film it, so may as well show you what I'm going to do and tell you about it. Because as you know, we got our subfloor and foundation all set down there, and we put that blue tarp over it, and those blue tarps are, that's ridiculous. I paid $185 for that blue tarp. It's 30 by 50, and I think I said in that video that I paid half that for that same size tarp to cover our camper. And those tarps that we were using to cover our camper, we've been covering it through the winter for 6-7 years with the same tarps. So I don't know what they're doing with these tarps, but this one I loosened up a couple times because the sun was shrinking it, but you can see it's pulling and just ripping. And you'll see in an upcoming video, I put a couple patches on it just before the hurricane came in to try and keep my subfloor from getting too wet, because underneath the subfloor, can you see that, guys? Underneath the subfloor is insulation. So if the subfloor got a little wet, it would dry out. It's rough cut milled lumber. It would be okay, but if the water got underneath and pulled up in that insulation, then that wood would have been sitting in a puddle of water, and it eventually would have rotted. Look, this is just from this week, because there's one of the patches. So this tarp is junk. Now, I did find 14 mil greenhouse plastic, and it's the same kind of plastic we have on our greenhouses. It has that kind of poly rope inside of it, so it's pretty strong. I found that, and it's 10-year UV protected, that will fit over this. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this on so that the wood underneath is not necessarily getting as much sunlight straight through that clear tarp. And I'm gonna put that clear tarp over this, and hopefully what's gonna happen is that's gonna protect it, because we have, what is it today? Today is like July 11th or 12th or 13th or something. August, September, October. We have 3 more months. In the beginning of November, guys, that's the plan. The beginning of November, this is going to get framed, sheathed out. We're gonna get the roof rafters on, get that sheathed, and get the metal roof on it. That way it's primarily dried in. We'll get house wrap on it. I haven't really gone to the mill yet and figured out whether I'm gonna do OSB and house wrap or do the zip board. I guess the zip board will stand up to the weather a lot better, but those rolls of tape I heard are ridiculously expensive. Like, for a house my size, you could spend $1,000 in tape, and that's kind of crazy. So I have to do get some quotes and do some figuring out of how I'm gonna do that. But I'll tell you right now, OSB with house wrap is perfectly fine. It will work just as good. as long as you get that house wrap on pretty quick before any water gets on it and start to seal it up, we should be fine. But if we can get this dried in, then for the beginning part of the winter, I can do the electric and the plumbing and the insulation and start putting my inside siding on. And once I do that, we can move in it. We can move in it and get out of the camper, and that will be huge, guys. That will be such a big step forward for us. So the plan right now is to take the first 2 weeks in November off from this new job. I've already talked to them about it. They said schedule it and it shouldn't be a problem, especially seeing how we're building our house. I mean, it's not like I'm going on vacation. And November is the perfect time because it won't be too hot. We're not deep into the winter where it's too cold. It should be in the 60s and 70s here, which is perfect weather to do construction. And there is a bit of a rainy season at the end of September into October, but then there's usually kind of a lull in November before you get into the jet stream change that happens over this country in the winter and brings in a lot more moisture and a lot more cold. So you got to schedule the time, guys, and hope the weather and everything works out. But yeah, that's where we're at. Hopefully we can get that done. All right, guys, thanks for joining us here on the homestead and coming and watching homestead happenings. Really appreciate it. If you want, give our membership a try. It's a great way to support our channel, and there's a lot of nice perks in there, and I'm trying real hard to keep up with all our members in there. So until the next one, we'll see you later, guys. Bye.